Welcome to the Family Court game, and this is the tutorial nobody gives you. Family Court might not officially be a video game, but spend long enough in it and tell me it doesn't bloody feel like one. There are levels. There are rules nobody explains properly. There are characters with mystery powers. There are side quests that cost £3,000. There are documents you have to collect, and there are deadlines. There are surprise boss battles, and occasionally you'll encounter an NPC who appears to have been programmed with exactly 4 dialogue options. The child is settled, there are concerns, further assessment is required, and my personal favorite, parents need to improve communication. Brilliant. I hadn't thought of that. Maybe I'll WhatsApp the person I've just spent 18 months litigating against and ask whether they fancy improving our communication over Nando's. Welcome to the Family Court game. And if you've recently spawned into this particular map, this is the tutorial I wish somebody had given you. Because I've spent years studying this game. Years. And not just the law, the psychology, the strategy, the mistakes, the psychology, the emotional traps, the paperwork, the allegations, the hearings, the reports, the behaviors that destroy otherwise perfectly reasonable cases. And most importantly, the difference between playing emotionally and playing intelligently. Because Family Court Mastery isn't about becoming better at fighting your ex. It's about becoming better at controlling yourself. And that's a very different game. So level 1, you spawn into chaos. Nobody wakes up one morning thinking, you know what I'd really improve my next year? A private children proceedings application. You usually arrive here because something has gone badly wrong. The relationship has collapsed. Communication has broken down. Contact with your child has reduced or stopped. An allegation has appeared. Solicitors may be involved. Kafkas might be suddenly involved. And now you're staring at acronyms like C100, C1A, FHDRA, DRA, Section 7, finding of facts. It looks less like family law and more like somebody dropped a Scrabble board down the stairs. And you're expected to understand all of it while simultaneously dealing with one of the most emotionally destabilizing periods of your life. That's the first difficulty setting, you learning the game while you're already playing it. And unlike most games, Family Court doesn't begin by explaining your character. It begins by testing it, your patience, your emotional regulation, your judgment, your ability to communicate, your ability to tolerate uncertainty, your ability to hear something outrageous without immediately sending 17-paragraph WhatsApp messages beginning, right, that's it, I've had enough. Don't. That message becomes Exhibit A. Your character stats are hidden. Most people entering Family Court think the case is entirely about the other parent. She's doing this. He's lying about that. Look at what they said. Look at what Kafkas got wrong. And some of those complaints may be completely legitimate, but you're missing something. Your own character stats are being tested as well. How do you respond under pressure? Can you distinguish between something that's offensive and something that's legally relevant? Can you communicate without becoming aggressive? Can you remain child-focused when somebody is provoking you? Can you accept criticism? Can you change strategy when something isn't working? Can you separate this is unfair to me from this is harmful to my child? Those are completely different arguments. And Family Court is primarily interested in the second one. The central mechanic of the game is the child's welfare. Not winning, not revenge, not proving your ex is a terrible human being, not obtaining judicial confirmation that you are right about the argument in IKEA in 2019. The child. Once you understand that, the entire game starts looking different. The first major glitch, too many programs running. When people enter Family Court, their brain often has about 50 programs running simultaneously. Anger, fear, grief, financial stress, rejection, shame, jealousy, new partners, old arguments, screenshots, solicitor emails, Kafkas, court orders, missing the children, fear of losing the children, and approximately 7,000 screenshots of WhatsApp conversations they are convinced a judge desperately wants to read. Your system starts lagging. And when your system starts lagging, your decision-making deteriorates. That's when players start making terrible moves, sending emotional messages, arguing about irrelevant details, breaking boundaries, posting online, ignoring orders because they believe the order is unfair. bombarding professionals, writing statements that read like autobiographies, turning every disagreement into evidence of narcissistic abuse, and treating every hearing like a final scene from A Few Good Men. You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth. Mate. It's a directions hearing. Sit down. The emotional NPC trap. One of the biggest traps in family court is becoming an NPC. An NPC doesn't choose, it reacts. Your ex sends something provocative, you react. A report contains something inaccurate, you react. Contact changes, you react. A solicitor writes something unpleasant, you react. An allegation appears, you react. Eventually, the other person's behavior controls your behavior. And that's disastrous because family court creates an unusual psychological environment where emotional discipline becomes strategic advantage. The person who can provoke you can potentially control you. So stop giving people access to the controller. You don't have to respond to everything. You don't have to correct everything. You don't have to win every argument. You need to recognize the difference between important information and emotional bait. That's one of the biggest upgrades available in this entire game. Learn the map. If you want to become good at family court, stop treating every development as random. Study the map. Understand the Children Act 1989. Understand the welfare principle. Understand the welfare checklist where applicable. Understand parental responsibility. Understand child arrangements orders. Understand safeguarding. Understand what CAFCAS actually does. Understand what a Section 7 report is, or a child impact report. Understand when fact-finding may become relevant. Understand the significance of allegations of domestic abuse and Practice Direction 12J. Understand evidence. Understand directions. Understand what your order actually says. And understand this. Your personal definition of fairness and the court's legal decision-making framework are not necessarily the same thing. That's where enormous frustration comes from. Someone walks into court thinking, I'll tell the judge everything. I'll tell him everything. That's what happened and they'll understand. That's not strategy. That's emotional dumping with pagnation. The strong player asks, what is the issue? What evidence supports it? Why does it matter to the child's welfare? What outcome am I asking the court for? And why is that outcome workable and proportionate? That's family court thinking. Your inventory. Every decent game has an inventory. Family court does too. Your inventory might contain court orders, applications, statements, chronologies, position statements, messages, emails, school information, medical information where relevant, professional reports, schedules of allegations where directed, disclosure, notes from hearings. But beginners make one enormous mistake. They think more evidence equals stronger case, and not necessarily. Evidence isn't Pokemon. You don't have to collect it at all. 500 screenshots don't automatically make your argument 500 times stronger. Sometimes one clear document proves the point better than 40 pages of angry messages. Your job isn't to bury the court. Your job is to make the relevant information easy to understand. Side quests will destroy you. Family court contains unlimited side quests. The argument about Christmas 2022, the birthday card, the new boyfriend, the Facebook page post, who kept the children's trainers, what somebody's mother said about outside Tesco's. You can spend your entire case fighting side quests. Meanwhile, the main mission gets forgotten, and the main mission is usually remarkably simple. What arrangements best promote the child's welfare? Keep returning to that again and again and again. 5 core stats. If I were designing the family court mastery game, your character would have 5 core stats. 1. Emotional control. Can you stay regulated when somebody presses your buttons? Because they will. And occasionally, they'll press buttons you didn't even know you had. The goal isn't becoming emotionless. You're a parent. Of course, you're emotional. The skill is experiencing emotion without allowing emotion to make your decisions. That's mastery. 2. Evidence. Can you distinguish between what you believe and what you can demonstrate? She's a narcissist isn't particularly useful. What happened? When? What was said? What evidence exists? What was the impact on the child? Describe behavior. Don't become an amateur psychiatrist because you watched 3 TikToks about covert narcissism. Courts deal with facts and evidence. Give them facts and evidence. Communication. Every message you send should survive the following test. Would I be comfortable with a judge reading this out loud? Because one day somebody might. Communicate like you're building a record of reasonableness. Short, calm, child-focused, practical. No insults, no sarcasm. And yes, I appreciate the irony of me telling you not to use sarcasm. I make the videos. You make exhibits. Different game. Now, procedural knowledge. Number 4, procedural knowledge. You don't need to become a barrister, but you should understand the game you're participating in. Read orders properly. Know your deadlines. Know what you're asking. Know what your next hearing is actually for. Understand what you've been directed to file. Know what you're asking the court to do. Turning up saying, I just want what's fair, isn't enough. What order are you asking for? Know the answer. 5, character. This is the stat nobody wants to discuss, because family court content online can become obsessed with proving everybody else is the problem. Sometimes they are. Sometimes professionals get things wrong. Sometimes allegations are false. Sometimes parents behave appallingly. Sometimes systems fail families. All of that deserves scrutiny, but none of it removes your responsibility from your own behavior. Can you become a better father through this? A better communicator? More disciplined? More emotionally intelligent? More stable? More capable of creating security for your children? Because if family court turns you into a permanently furious man obsessed with your ex, you haven't mastered the game. The game has mastered you. The anti-vision. Now, here's something almost nobody does. Build your anti-vision. Ask yourself, what does losing actually look like? And I don't simply mean losing a hearing. Maybe losing looks like spending 5 years consumed by litigation, losing your career, destroying your finances, alienating friends, becoming bitter, making your new relationship miserable, talking about your ex every day, and eventually getting your children back into your life, only to discover you've become somebody they don't recognize. That's losing. So your strategy cannot merely be win the court case. It needs to be protect relationship with children while protecting the person I'm becoming. That's a much more intelligent mission. Stop playing your ex's character. This is perhaps the biggest lesson. You only control one character, yours. You cannot control whether somebody lies. You cannot control whether somebody exaggerates. You cannot control whether somebody hates you. You cannot control every professional opinion. You cannot control precisely how quickly proceedings move. But you can control your evidence, your preparation, your communication, your conduct, your compliance, your boundaries, your health, your response, your relationship with your children, and your next move. Stoicism understands this thousands of years before somebody invented the C100. Separate what is yours to control from what isn't. Then stop wasting your finite energy trying to control somebody else's character. The boss battle. Allegations. At some point, some players encounter the boss battle. Allegations. This is where emotional control becomes absolutely essential. An allegation is not automatically a finding of fact, but nor should serious allegations simply be dismissed because you disagree with them. Take them seriously. Read exactly what is alleged. Separate individual allegations. Identify what you accept, what you dispute, what context is genuinely relevant, what evidence exists, and respond carefully. Not, she's a pathological liar and everyone knows it. That's not evidence. Respond to substance. And remember, the allegations of domestic abuse can be highly significant in children proceedings because the court must consider risk and the child's welfare. This isn't the level for bravado. It's the level for precision. Kafkas is not the final boss. People make another mistake. They start treating Kafkas like the enemy army. A Kafkas recommendation can be extremely influential, but your objective is not to defeat Kafkas. It's to understand the reasoning. What information did they rely upon? What safeguarding concerns exist? What have they misunderstood? What evidence contradicts something material? What recommendations are they making? If you disagree, challenge the reasoning calmly and evidentially. Kafkas are corrupt isn't an argument. Paragraph 34 appears inconsistent with the school records on pages X and Y because blah, blah, blah. Now you're playing properly. Now, don't grind the wrong stat. Some people spend hundreds of hours researching narcissism, parental alienation, case law, Kafkas complaints, and stories about other people's cases. They become incredibly knowledgeable and completely ineffective because knowledge without application becomes another NPC loop. Don't just consume family court content. Use it. Improve the statement. Organize the evidence. Prepare the chronology. Read the order. Fix your communication. get healthier, sleep, work, parent, build your life. Information isn't mastery. Applied information is. Now, design your quest. So here's your factual family court quest. Not destroy my eggs, not expose everybody, not prove I'm the victim. Your quest is become the calmest, clearest, most credible, child-focused version of yourself while pursuing a safe and meaningful relationship with your children. Now build checkpoints, understand your case, organize your documents, identify the real issues, improve communication, follow orders, meet deadlines, prepare properly, protect your health, stop reacting, build your relationship with your children whenever opportunities exist, and keep your eyes on the long game, because children grow up and one day the court file closes. The professionals disappear. The solicitors move on to another case. The judge hears another family, and you're left with something much more important, your relationship with your children, the secret scoring system. If family court really were a game, I think the leaderboard would look very different from what people imagine. You wouldn't score highest because you humiliated your ex. You'd score on 5 things. 1, child focus. Do you consistently put your child's welfare above the conflict? 2, self-control. Could you remain disciplined when provoked? 3, adaptability. When circumstances changed, could you change with them? 4, integrity. Did you tell the truth even when the truth wasn't perfect for your case? Could you admit mistakes? Could you take responsibility? 5, legacy. When your children eventually understand what happened, who will they remember you becoming? Because that's the final leaderboard, not Facebook, not what your WhatsApp group, not whether strangers online thought you destroyed Kafkas with one clever paragraph. Your children. Simple. How you actually beat the family court game. Here's the twist. You don't beat the family court by becoming better at conflict. You beat it by becoming increasingly difficult to drag into conflict. You learn the rules. You understand the psychology. You organize your evidence. You communicate intelligently. You choose your battles. You protect your credibility. You comply with orders unless they're changed by the court. You remain focused on welfare. You challenge things properly when they need challenging. You take professional legal advice when necessary. And you become extraordinarily disciplined about what deserves your attention. Because eventually you realize something. The opponent was never entirely your ex. It wasn't Kafkas. It wasn't the solicitor. It wasn't even the system. The hardest opponent was the version of you that wanted to react, the angry you, the frightened you, the desperate you, the version that wanted immediate justice, the version that wanted to send the message, the version that wanted revenge, the version that confused winning an argument with protecting a child. Master that character, and you've unlocked the most important upgrade in the entire game, self-mastery. Now here's your final takeaway. Family Court is one of the strangest games you'll ever be forced to play. The stakes are enormous. The rules can feel confusing. The process can be painfully slow. And sometimes things can happen that feel profoundly unfair. But don't allow an imperfect system to become permission for imperfect behavior. Learn the map. Learn the mechanics. Control your character. Choose your missions. Protect your credibility. Protect your health. And above everything else, protect the child from becoming another character in the adult's game. Because your child isn't evidence. Your child isn't leverage. Your child isn't a messenger. Your child isn't a prize awarded to whoever wins. They're the reason the game exists in the first place. And that's family court mastery. Not learning how to destroy the other player, learning how to stop playing the conflict while becoming the parent your child needs. If you're currently playing the family court game, you're already on the map. The question is, are you reacting to whatever the game throws at you? Or are you finally learning how to play it? Welcome to Family Court Mastery. Now let's level up. If you need support leveling up, you need support getting through this, give us a call. Because people follow my steps and follow my guidance. It is impossible for them not to have a positive or a more positive outcome than when they don't follow my guidance and lessons. Until next time, speak soon.